Happy early Halloween! This year we got a mythic banner if you want to trick or treat in Fae. Too bad the gacha is filled with more tricks than treats. We'll be going over the 12 heroes available on this banner and talk about what fun skills are available. However, starting first, we have this month's new mythic hero with Arval. Since Three Hopes got a banner, this was pretty inevitable. For those that did not play Three Hopes, basically Arval resides within Shezes, similar to Sothis and Byleth. They're a mythical entity who grants Shezes power, which is how Shezes transforms right before falling to the Ashen Demon at the start of the game. The two Shezes do showcase their awakened state in Fae's special artworks, but male Shezes, who is dual wielding the sword Arval gives them, does not actually have this sword as their in-game weapon. Shezes does have an in-game unique class outfit, so I do assume Legendary Shezes is very possible with Arval's real sword in hand. Slight spoiler, but Arval is also playable in Three Hopes as a secret New Game Plus character. They take on the Master Mage classes by default, so in Fae, Arval is a colorless infantry mage. They are an animal mythic that boost resistance. For old skills, Arval has Glacies as their special, so expect high resistance. They also have Attack and Res Tempo, which is making a quick 2-month return if you missed out on Legendary Deirdre. I'm very happy to see Tempo on Arval because it does synergize with their Rite of Soul's weapon. 14 might exert specials and at the start of every turn inflict guard on foes within 3 rows or 3 columns, centered on Arval if they have less res than Arval. If Arval initiates combat or is within 2 spaces of an ally, grants +5 to all stats, deals true damage per hit equal to 20% of their res stat, including on AoE specials, and then you prevent a follow-up attack. Alrighty, so first off, Arval provides a big guard ploy type debuff. You gotta win a res check on the field, but they do get some help with their other unique passive. Either way, guard status is always very welcome, and this goes double for Arval, specifically because they already have Tempo. I've been saying that guard plus Tempo is a combo I'm expecting to see more of eventually, and here it is on a unit outright. This combo has been possible since Byleth entered the game, as Creator's Sword had Tempo years before it became a skill. Specifically, we're just looking at guard plus no special charge. You can cancel out guard effects with extra special cooldown skills like Heavy Blade or Steady Breath. No special charge cancels those skills out, meaning you have no other way to counter guard unless you have no guard. Without no guard, the enemy cannot charge special at all, which is obviously very good. It won't stop pre-charge specials, but hey, one step at a time. Creator Swords Refine isn't too far away, so maybe the Ashen Demon might want to team up with Arval. Back on track, besides Arval totally blocking special charging for the most part, they also get faster specials, extra stats, follow-up denial, and a scaling true damage proc per hit based on resistance. Pretty clear Arval will have high base res at least. Since this weapon does boost speed, Arval may not be min-maxed. I expect a high 20s, low 30 speed stat. To go with Rite of Souls, we have Duality, which I believe is Arval's unique skill in Three Hopes. It has 4 effects. First, grant a flat +9 attack and res. Better, still water with no drawbacks. Arval then gets weapon triangle advantage against red, blue, and green foes. Wow. The third effect I'm pretty sure is partially like Cancel Affinity. You neutralize effects that boost values along with weapon triangle advantage or reduce values along with weapon triangle disadvantage on Arval and the foe. Last up, Arval gets a follow-up attack when above 25% HP. For those that have never seen Cancel Affinity, I don't blame you because it's largely not great. Basically, its only purpose is to counter Triangle Depth. The normal Triangle Advantage grants plus 28% attack and the foe loses 20% attack. Triangle Depth bumps that up to 40% for both. Cancel Affinity effectively hard counters this by reversing Triangle Depth's bonus, which gets you an even matchup if you are disadvantaged. If the foe does not run Triangle Depth though, then nothing happens. For Duality, it does not mention reversing the bonus, only neutralizing it, so I want to say that means it just negates Triangle Depth effects, which isn't really a hard counter. Additionally, because Arval has weapon triangle advantage against every color except Colorless, it doesn't really matter. You would need a colorless unit that has advantage over other colorless units, and they need to run Triangle Depth. The more applicable use case is that I think this is to balance Arval themselves. If saying Arval cannot use Triangle Depth to gain 40% attack against red, blue, and green foes. Not common, but there is a Triangle Depth status, so this stops that from being abused. Now, I'm not fully sure how the interaction goes, but I do not think Duality stops Raven Tomes gaining triangle advantage against Colorless. That means Arval should go even with those enemies since no one actually has an advantage there. If Duality does stop the Raven Tome effect though, that would be something. Okay, enough talk about triangles. The other parts of Duality are good too. +9 flat resistance means better chances for Rite of Souls to proc its guard ploy effect, good stuff, and Arval may be able to escape Elimine's false start status. As for the free fall up attack, this generally just means Arval will be on the slower side, but with Rite of Souls they do have Omni Breaker, and if they have a little bit of speed, that will be nice to mess with really slow tanks. With Triangle Advantage, extra res scaling true damage, and a follow up attack, Arval will be looking to deal some damage. Last new skill to talk about is Attack and Res Oath 4, which is inheritable by infantry and flyers. At start of turn, if unit is within 2 spaces of an ally, grant +6 attack and res and the warp status for 1 turn. Additionally, if you fight within 2 spaces of an ally, you get +3 attack and res in combat. Tier 4 Oath skills are fantastic, and we have the Tier 3 on Peleus in the Hero Girl pool if you want to grab Attack and Res Tempo at the same time. Having the 2 spaces for self-buffing is amazing, and the warp status means more options to get an attack off. Great for defense teams like Arval would be on. Since Oaths also grant in-combat buffs, these are decent alternatives to range C skills for flyers. You can get stats in combat plus the field buffs and warping, although range can support your teammates as well. Overall, it's a very solid skill. It is looking like Mythic Arval is going to be a bit of a pain. If you're not colorless, you do not have weapon advantage, and there are not that many Raven Tone weapons out there. I will give a shout out to Nagi, who also isn't that far away from Refine, and she is literally pre-made to run with distant counter while having advantage over colorless foes. She seems primed to run far safe, but it doesn't look like she'll gain an advantage over Arval. At best, they are a neutral matchup. For other units, Arval may not be super overbearing since they can't utilize Triangle Depth even if it's a rare case, but not having color advantage is still pretty annoying. If Arval has some defense, the -20% attack may keep them alive. If you only have magic damage, well, have fun with their probably high res stat. For what it's worth, Arval doesn't have other damage reduction skills without ally support, so they should still go down if you can get into melee range. They can't pierce through damage reduction, and they also don't have those extra blessing stats in Aether raids. I could see them being pretty annoying in infantry pulse type teams since you do not want to tank an Icebreaker Glacies. Rite of Souls 20% true damage also does work on AoE specials, and Duality is a better Stillwater A skill substitute. You could even run Special Spiral since they are infantry. Besides their own combat prowess though, Arval bringing a big guard ploy zone is pretty good. They could do the job of a rally ruse unit, and guard can mess up defensive setups, especially if the enemy is too depending on specials. Again, perhaps worth pairing with other tempo users to be really annoying. That might be able to partially stop hardy fighter builds from looping those specials. Personally, I do want to get Arval as I actually have some orbs at the moment. This is going to be quite a good month to summon for colorless. With that said, let's now discuss the 11 other units on the banner briefly. Red will have Plumeria, Mirabilis, and Leaf unarmed. Blue will have Legendary Chrom, Sain, and Valentian Est. Green has representatives from the Lost to Triangle Depth Folk Vanguard Club. We have Letizia making her return, accompanied by Eitri and Odor. Last, the colorless group is stacked with Arval, Lord Askr, and Elimine. Very spicy. First up is Mythic Plumeria, an Astro Mythic who boosts speed. She's a flying mage dancer who grants +3 field buffs to her target and debuff the nearest foes with -4 to all stats. Her tome grants a wide AoE +2 attack and res in combat buff. For skills, Plumeria supports the team with Sabotage Speed 3 for debuffing. She has attack and res push 4, which is alright, and then attack and res rain for your flyers. Worth noting, Halloween Naga, the 4-star focus for this year's Halloween banner, has attack and res rain as well. Next, we got Mythic Mirabilis, an animal mythic that also boosts resistance if you want to stack that with Arval. Her Whimsical Dream Dance grants a AoE +5 attack buff and inflicts a -5 attack debuff on the nearest foe within 4 spaces, and that debuff will spread to nearby foes. For her sword, Mirabilis inflicts -3 attack, defense, and res on foes within 3 columns of her if they have a penalty on them. For skills, she also has a Sabotage debuff, this one for defense. She comes with Forge defense and res for the flat stats, and then defense and res gap to buff up your main tank. Last, we have Mythic Leaf, a sword infantry unit and an animal mythic that boosts speed. Don't try to steal the sword from this Leaf. This time, this weapon will grant +4 to all stats and a follow-up attack, but Leaf inflicts 20 damage on the nearest ally after combat. Can maybe set this up with certain builds, but otherwise it's a bit of a pain to utilize. Leaf's deadly balance is the same as rearmed Leaf. Inflict -5 attack and defense on the foe and grant +1 special charge on the foe's attacks. If Leaf wants to tank a hit with distant counter, this will charge Open the Future thanks to Time's Pulse. Open the Future is just bonfire that heals 25% of damage dealt. Leaf is an okay unit, but definitely feels dated, and the ally damage is pretty annoying. His father skills are great though, DC plus Time's Pulse, and you can grab both on an infantry unit. Moving on to blue, we have legendary Chrom, an annoying blue infantry archer. The change fate lets Chrom reposition an ally, and he gets an attack buff, plus gets to move again. Chrom then lays on the damage with high base attack, a bow effective against army units, and he neutralizes stat penalties while inflicting -6 attack and defense. Never a fun time when he's in the hands of the AI. To empower his damage, you got low attack and defense 3. Chrom also has close counter if you try to engage on him, and then rouse defense res 3 if he ends up solo. Still a good unit, but his red Valentine's dual ult is just as amazing. Next, we have Sain, a Lance Cavalier with good attack and speed. If you thought Chrom was annoying, Sain can do similar things. He can rally an ally, then gain another action while self-buffing for +6 attack and speed. Jolly Jade Lance adds more attack and speed, and you got Spin Defense Catch 4 with Flow Refresh to go on the attack. This Lance also comes with built-in Kanto, so Sain can be all over the map. You got Rally Up Attack Plus, and Halloween Naga also has this assist skill. For your cows and flowers, you can use Summer Seth to get Spin Defense Catch 3, that lets you get the tier 4 with Flow Refresh. Last up is Valentian Est, a Lance Flyer with decent attack and speed and high resistance. She is basically the res equivalent to Spring Maria. Triage Lance grants +5 tall stats, grants true damage scaling with 20% res like Arval, and S gets 40% DR for 1 hit. She also hits built-in Kanto. She comes with Attack and Res Push 4, which is not that great on herself, but Flow Feather 3 does benefit from it. This is the res version of Flow Flight and the player phase alternative to Pegasus Flight. You may want to use this on Fila if you're building her. Overall, very interesting blue group, 2 mobile units, and Est has some niche res-based mechanics. For the green group, we have our main story villains, starting with legendary Eitri. She is a green mage flyer who is deceptively bulky. Her tome comes with Kanto 2 for the first 4 turns, and Eitri inflicts -6 attack and res with a free follow-up attack. Her Divine Recreation B skill inflicts -4 all stats on the foe and reduces 1 hit by 30%. Eitri then gains bonus counterattack damage based on the damage reduced. With attack and res Rain, Eitri inflicts -14 attack and res on the foe, and she has damage reduction with some defense and res as well. If you don't take her out, her counter gets empowered. Very neat flying mage, and she also has attack and res solo 4 for more fodder. Second, we have Mythic Odor, who is an animal mythic hero that boosts defense. All 3 units here are a bit similar this month. Odor is going to get Kanto 3 for 4 turns, and his axe grants +6 attack, inflicts -6 attack, and he gets a free follow-up. Brutal Shell is literally just the Luna special that it pre-charges on turn 1. Very basic unit. For skills, you got Green Dual Cavalry 4 if you want to boost arena scoring. Flow Refresh is back again with offense and a follow-up and healing. Last, Attack and Defense Menace is pretty good on anyone for self-buffing and debuffs. Finally, we have Letizia, who is just a regular unit. She is a green mage cav who drops speed for higher defense and res. Her tome is a little complicated, but it also grants +6 attack, inflicts -6 attack, and gives a follow-up attack. On top of this, Letizia inflicts debuffs to all of the foe stats based on 4 conditions, which I won't go into detail here. You get -3 points for each condition met, maxing out at -9 to all stats. Pretty a crazy amount of debuffing, and she can reach -15 attack debuffs just from this weapon. For her skills, Letizia has attack and res catch 4, and again, Halloween Naga has the tier 3 if you want to use her. She is a very relevant unit for the fodder on this banner. You then got attack and res Far Trace 3 for Kanto, and last, Browse attack and res 4 for solo self-buffing. If you want this catch and Far Trace Kanto, I believe Happy has the same skills. She has her own banner available at this time. All in all, green has 3 similar units with different flavors of tankiness, free follow-up attacks, and Kanto. This is a great group for general skill fodder as well. Finally, we have our Colorless group, which is super stacked. We discussed Arval enough, but for skills they have Attack and Res Tempo, which is still very new, and Attack and Res Oath 4 is literally only on Arval for the moment. Thanks to Peleus, you can get both skills, which is some great value for infantry units. Joining Arval will be Mythic Askr, making his first return. He's a Cutlass Beast infantry unit with some incredible defense, and is a light mythic that boosts defense. Like Spring Maria or Brave Dimitri's Refined, Lord Askr has scaling true damage and flat damage reduction based on defense. He also gets Accelerate Specials, +5 to all stats, and a free follow-up attack. You also have the tempo effects if he's transformed. Open Domain then grants Resonance Blades, Resonance Shields, and Times Pulse to Askr and everyone within 2 spaces. The only condition for this is if one of those allies is not from Fire Emblem heroes. As long as you fight with a hero summoned from another world, everyone including Askr gets all the benefits. Now for skills, we have Attack and Defense Ideal 4, and Askr is the only unit with Attack and Defense Bulwark 3. With Ascended Air Bring and Mystic Boost 4, you kind of have 2 new beast skill options for self-sustain and a bit of tankiness. Bulwark, unfortunately though, is only for melee infantry. You can get the Bulwark skill with attack and defense ideal 4 thanks to Skullhawk or Cervantes coming with the tier 3. More good value, all in one skill inheritance. Last on the banner is Mythic Elimine, a flying healer and Asher Mythic that boosts speed. Very interesting that we got a powerful Asher Mythic that does a res check with our brand new Anima Mythic who also does a res check. Elimine's main trait is her ability to inflict false start on foes in line with her if you win that res check. False start prevents any skills that activate at the start of the turn, which is insane and counters a million different things since they outright do not activate at all. For example, false start would prevent Arval's guard ploy from working, but as we saw, Arval is stacking flat resistance, so Elimine might not be able to match them. We'll have to see. Moving on, Staff of the Saint also provides a nice +6 defense field buff to nearby allies each turn, and it has Dazzling Staff. Elimine has more support with Holy Guard that grants 30% damage reduction to allies within 2 spaces, and they get +4 defense and res. Amazing unit all around. Since false start does a res check, attack res push is not optimal. Generally, Fortress Defense res 3 would be the answer for more flat resistance, but you can now run Stillwater since Elimine's defense is garbage anyway. Unfortunately, you're going to need Wrathful Staff to actually deal damage. Instead, Elimine does have Nudge Plus, which is the healing assist combined with Shove, and she has attack and speed for trace to Kanto after you nudge an ally. If you don't need Kanto though, you can run a Sabotage debuff for more debuffing, or Wrathful Staff to use Elimine's attack and speed stats. Basically, Colorless is amazing this month. If you want to get Arval, I would be pretty happy with any of these 3 Mythic heroes. That'll be it for this month's spooky Mythic banner. Let me know your thoughts on Arval and good luck trick-or-treating on the banner. Now that I think about it, with Shezes and Arval in the game, maybe they'll also get a dual ult just like Blythe and Sothis. Happy to see them make it in before we get a whole slew of new characters with Engage coming in less than 3 months now. Still hasn't really settled in for me that a new main game is happening very soon. Anyway, thank you for watching, and I will see you guys in the next video.